I'd like to call the Albany Board of Selectmen's meeting for April 10th, 2024 to order. Will you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Approval of the March 27th, 2024 Selectmen's meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Okay. All in favor? Aye.
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 Approval of the April 10th, 2024 consent file, including review and sign manifests in the amount of $64,763.72. This includes an accounts payable and payroll manifest for 4/10/2024. Review, discuss, approve, deny notice of intent to excavate for map 7, lot 58.
I move to approve the consent file as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Review, discuss, and approve the following appointments. Kathy Ryan and Court Hanson, reappointment to Conservation Commission. I make a motion to approve Kathy Ryan and Court Hanson, reappointment to the Conservation Commission.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Review, discuss, and sign MS 535, financial report of the budget as provided by town auditors. I make a motion to approve the MS 535. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Review, discuss, and approve or deny the request for charitable expenditure under RSA 72:23-V for 10 Mountain Conservation Center.
Before you get to that, did you miss E?
You missed E.
I'm
Did you
sorry.
discuss the
I'm
Central
sorry.
Tax Levy?
I X'd the wrong one.
I'm sorry.
Review, discuss, and sign gravel tax levy for 2023, map 7, lot 58.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Now F, review, discuss, and approve, deny request for charitable expenditure under RSA 72:23-V for 10 Mountain Conservation Center.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Review, discuss, and approve or deny the request for charitable expenditure under RSA 72:23-V for the Audubon Society of New Hampshire.
I move to deny.
Do I have a second? I'll second for discussion. Rick?
To my knowledge, we've never approved that in the past.
That's true. For the 4 years I've been here, it's never been.
In all my years, we have.
Have they always put in for it?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know what? That jogs my memory. I remember doing the same thing.
Yeah, no, it's,
Why is it, has it not in the past?
that, it was a recommendation, when I was selectman last, that was a recommendation from our assessor.
Not to approve.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
And I remember that even back before I was a selectman. In fact, I think probably when you were selectman.
That's why I remember it. Yeah, I think it first started back
Yep.
then.
We always approved Tin Mountain because they're a legitimate, charitable organization.
Right. So we don't feel this one is?
I'm gonna call it to a vote, and I'm gonna vote no.
I will vote no as well.
Yeah, I'll vote no.
Let's wait for administrator. Yeah, that's,
I mean, that's all in current use.
yeah.
I mean, the taxes are negligible.
I hate to say it, but it's for the birds. I don't mean it in a bad way, but I don't understand why.
Right.
Yeah, okay, I get it.
When you quit your day job, you got
To
to
be a
back up
comedian?
there.
I better keep my bait. are 3 no's. Let's see. No, we're gonna need the next one anyway. Hopefully that's making his payment. Yes, good, good.
Just in time?
Yeah, it's just under the wire, right?
And we have none. Now we have no payment.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, that
did
was
you do
3 no's.
3, okay. Who made them, Rick made the motion?
Yep.
Did you second?
I second for
Kelly.
discussion. There was a second.
Okay, so, let's see. Motion. So the motion was to deny, so it passed 3-0-0. Okay. I'm caught up. What are we on, H?
Yeah, okay. Review, discuss, and sign selectmen's deed for tax deeded property being redeemed by former owner at 120 Golden Oaks Road.
Does that need a motion?
I make a motion just because it's.
I'll move to approve the tax deed.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Review, discuss, and approve or deny the request for Veterans Tax Credit for M9L145. And
If somebody makes a motion so we can discuss, I have.
I'll make a motion to approve it, subject to discussion.
I'll second to discuss.
So, the reason this one's a little bit different is because the veteran qualifies under so we have the optional veterans tax credit, which they have to have served in a certain war period or have a medal from an expeditionary force or something. So they qualify under that. He also qualifies for the disabled veterans tax credit, which is a VA letter that I also have. So he had to fill out an application, which is the PA-29. I've reviewed that. And then his property is owned by a revocable trust, which is allowed. It has to be revocable, not irrevocable, which he also has a revocable trust. I have the trust documents, which I've reviewed, and then the deed. So where the rub comes is that under RSA 72:30, there's a thing called proration. And because his revocable trust owns it with his wife, but they don't own it as joint tenants in common with rights of survivorship, he only qualifies for 50% because he only really owns 50%. If it was a husband and wife, then they would qualify for 100% because she would be the surviving spouse. But they don't own it like that. The wife owns a 1/2 undivided interest, not joint tenants in common. So he may not be very happy about this because he was getting this veterans tax credit in Portsmouth at his former residence 100% because he owned it differently. So I just wanted to explain it to you because he may file an appeal, he may not be very happy, but I've sent this to the Department of Revenue Administration and also cleared it with Jason and gone over and over it so I make sure I have all the appropriate documentation. I've seen it all, reviewed it all, they've reviewed it all, and he qualifies. So the veterans tax credit, optional veterans tax credit is $500. The disabled tax credit is $2,000, which would be $2,500 together. He's going to qualify for $1,250, which is what I put through. So I'm happy to explain that to him, but I wanted you guys to be aware. It's a look. I haven't had one of these here before, so I've had the application for a long time, but I wanted to make sure I had all my ducks in a row, and that the ownership, because he did mention that his wife would be doing a trust too, and I said, well, I'll wait till the last possible minute to make sure that the ownership doesn't change and become joint tenants in common or something. But I had Jason check the deeds again today, and they have not changed the way the property is owned, so he qualifies for 50% of our veterans tax credits. And that's what I put on the form.
So we're not denying.
No, you're approving, but what you're approving is half.
50%.
So I put what the full amount was. If you look at the original form, I don't have it written on mine, but I put $500 and 2,000, but in the box of the amount, I put 250 and 1,000, and then did granted, and the date. And then at the bottom, I wrote the RSA, under RSA 72:30,
Yep.
you qualify for proration because of the way your property is owned. And then I put all the documents that we reviewed, because I can't keep all these documents.
Yeah.
The DD 214 goes back. I really don't have any reason to keep his trust document. I might keep the front page that says it's a revocable, but like a lot of this, I can't keep in the file, so I made a note of what we did review.
Okay.
Do you want me to restate the motion?
Whatever you guys need to do.
I think we're approving as, if you want to state it differently, as to.
Well, you want to state it as 50% at $12.50?
Yeah, if you want.
Change the motion to read.
We're not, yeah, because you didn't approve a number anyway.
No, I didn't
Just
put a
approved
number in the approval, and you signed the document with the 50% there and the explanation, the 50%. So I don't really feel like, the original document, I spelled it out very
So we're approving it
particularly
as it's written.
as it's written, right?
Okay.
Okay.
No problem.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, that one was a little.
That was
confusing.
Very well done. Thank you.
Well, I just, if he appeals, he can come to you for the appeal.
Right, but
You
you,
wouldn't even know why he was appealing if you didn't
Yeah.
kind of,
Well, I didn't know if putting in the final figures would help you and back you up.
I think he's not going to be
Well-
very happy about this anyway.
Yeah, but he won't be mad at just you, he'll be mad at all of us.
Well, you're the ones that signed, so, he will be in here
Yeah, it is.
probably.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Town administrator report.
Okay, so review and discuss options for updating the emergency operations plan. So we should have done this, we should be doing this year, and we did not do this year. And we did not, I can't say we haven't done it this year, because we still could, but we did not apply for a grant. In talking to June Garno, she's getting ready to retire. Olin doesn't know if he's gonna take over the business. She's not sure she's gonna take on any more EOPs. So she gave me some options. So one of the option you've always done is to work with HSEM and a private contractor under a grant program. But she said that it's pretty common now to hire maps to do an update plan without a grant, because EOPs are a lot less moving parts than the one we did last year, which was the local hazard mitigation plan. That has a lot more needs for meetings, and so she highly recommends option 3. Yes, we would not be getting a grant, but at the end of the day, the fee is about $3,500, which is about what the match for a grant would be anyway. So we'd be paying that as a match if we couldn't soft match it. I mean, we could wait till 2025 to do this, because we've already put it off a year and we don't really have the $3,500 budgeted. Or we could, hire maps and go it a little bit with them. They would do the EOP, but the town would have to worry about the match. We wouldn't get reimbursed for any money, and it involves less people and fewer meetings, or no meetings. So if they have a section that they need to talk to the road agent about, they deal with the road agent directly. Or she has some questions for the selectmen, she deals with them directly, or I deal with you directly. And so it kind of gets done behind the scenes and not the need for these public meetings. And I don't have a strong opinion about it. It's not my town. I think, the emergency operations plan is something we have to apply for federal grants or even Homeland Security grants. So we have to be looking towards this, and this was the year to do it. So, next year we'd be running late. I'm pretty sure they'd cut us some slack for that, but if you don't decide tonight, you should at least take this under advisement and be thinking about how you want to proceed with this. Because we could do it, we also could do option 2 and do it entirely on our own.
How much does that change over the year? I mean, all the years I was
It's really-
involved in it, I mean, it's more of a drill that you
It
go
is,
through.
exactly.
It's really
We're a small
boilerplate.
town.
Yeah.
We depend on a lot of other folks to handle certain things. I think we've got our highway department under control. I mean, Curtis and the folks that he uses, all do a great job.
I think the reason I would recommend option 3 for hiring MAPS to update the plan without a grant is that she has all the boilerplate language. She knows when FEMA changes something, because this has to get submitted to FEMA for approval too. We're still waiting for the approval on the local hazard mitigation plan. So in that way, she's very instrumental in, updating. But yeah, I think you guys know the town, like the Waldorf school closed. There's always going to be some small tweaks every 5 years to these plans because things do happen. Things open, things close. But you know what those are generally. And, if there's been a big event, a big fire, a big forest fire, a big flood, a big catastrophic something, then, that planning for that gets added to the plan. But you will know what that is, or Curtis will certainly know what that is. So,
So this is a yearly thing?
5 years. Every 5 years they
5
need to be
years,
updated. Both the local hazard mitigation plan and the emergency operations plan. And they're on off years, thank God. So we're not doing 2 in 1 year, but
Yeah, I was involved in 2 of them.
it's mostly just to force you to look at it and update it. When people die and that's not your resource anymore, when you need new resources. They updated it quite a bit after COVID because that was something nobody saw. H1N1 was the first kind of one of those. There's stuff to add and tweak a little bit, and FEMA has a very specific boilerplate template that they like them to use.
I did those meetings and they're you're not getting accomplished. Like you said, it's just about getting the minutes in. And I asked that because you say we might be all right for this year? Well, we are okay. You just...
I don't know how, I'm meeting with Homeland Security next week because I haven't met our rep in 4 years. They used to be much more proactive and kind of come out and meet you. But I haven't seen a Homeland Security rep in 4 years, and they're coming out next Tuesday, I think, to meet.
The state guy is coming out, or
yeah.
the county guy?
No, the state guy.
Okay.
Our Homeland Security Emergency Management, there is no county HSEM, it's a state HSEM.
No, there's somebody at the county level, because I'm on his email list.
He's
And I've
not
met with
Homeland
him.
Security and Emergency Management then.
Yes, I believe so.
He might be on a committee, but he's not the state HSEM.
Well, he's
I mean,
not
they
state.
can't
he's-
write
he-
grants and stuff.
He's the county person
Yeah.
contact.
I don't know. Anyway, I'm meeting with our rep from HSEM out of Concord. There's 2 guys sharing it now, supposedly, so I'm gonna get my first meeting with them. I can ask them that.
My question is, and not knowing what's not in the budget, is there extra money in the budget, or is it something that we should put on the list to do next year?
We could find the money, but if we could wait till next year, I'd like to do that. Maybe after you speak with these people, you can get a feel for if we're behind, or... I guess what it comes down to, if we have an event and we're not up to date, then it's...
Well, is that a problem? I mean,
I've never seen anybody denied for not being up to date. They frown on it, they want to know what, but I've dealt with this before in other places, and
I think as long as you have a plan.
Yeah,
That
that's
you're
what I'm
going to put it in the
thinking.
budget for 2026, that is the thing we're gonna do.
that's what I'm like.
Then I think we'd be fine, as long as we're not just saying, hey, we're not gonna do this, because that is not our intention.
No, I
We are
think-
gonna do it, we just,
why don't you find out and then report back
Yeah,
to
I
us?
think
at the
it's a
next
simple
meeting?
one to get appropriated at town meeting, it's something you...
well, and we have to have a special town meeting this summer, so if we needed to put it on,
Okay,
we could do that.
Can we add to the budget?
You can,
Yeah,
it's a town meeting.
yeah,
You gotta do a warrant and everything, so
okay.
I'd rather not make it a big convoluted thing, because it's a kind of off meeting, but we could if we had to, so we'll see if we have to. The next thing is kind of just an informational thing for you. So 3 years ago, when the board changed, Rick Highland had been the chairman, and the town credit card, it's a credit card that says Town of Albany, but it had to be in a person's name and be tied to a person's social security number. I myself was unwilling to tie that to my social security number, because if I leave, I have no way of knowing, and it hits your credit score and everything. So Kathy Golding put her name and social security number to it. And of course, when she left, her and I had a conversation about the town credit card. It's only got a $1,000 credit limit on it, because we don't use it for a lot, but there are a few things like our Adobe software. They want a credit card, or they want access to our bank account. I don't think it's a good idea to give them access to our bank account for $19.99 a month. So we put it on this reoccurring charge on the credit card. They use it for food during elections, so some of them go buy stuff and then get reimbursed, but sometimes I just give the credit card to the town clerk and she goes to Shaw's and gets some food. We don't use it a ton. Right now, I'm trying to renew our QuickBooks on it rather than letting them in our bank account, but they're already in our bank account because of payroll. So they may just wind up, and it's like $849. So again, it's got a $1,000 credit limit on it. I have made the call to Bank of New Hampshire to see if anything has changed, because I don't understand why a town, as a legal entity, can't get a credit card with a $1,000 limit on their EIN number, rather than using a person's name and social security number. So Caitlin Quint is now the branch manager of the Bank of New Hampshire in Conway, so she's researching that for me if something has changed in that 3 years. But I wanted you to know that I feel the same way, that, I'm not going to put my social security number on it. We may have to cancel the card because, Kathy's been very gracious. She isn't forcing anything, but it's weird to have.
Typically, the treasurer would be on that.
Well, the question I have is the same one I had when we went through this before, is why can't we go, instead of going to the bank, why don't we go to the credit card company and get a business credit card? I mean, for my businesses, I have 2 or 3 credit cards for each business.
Right, because you're the chairman of the board.
Right.
There's papers of organization that say you're the chairman of the board, still has either an EIN number from your company
Right.
or your social security
Right.
number tied to it.
EIN.
Again, I tried all this 3 years ago, and they would not issue it unless it was in a person's name with a social security. And again, the reason I'm asking is because 3 years have gone by. I'm hoping something has changed. I mean, I can call other card companies.
Call American Express or Visa.
Or you're gonna prepay, they need to have an option with it.
That would be a pain though.
No, but I mean, one that you put $1,000 in the bank and they give you the credit card to use.
I don't know how our auditors would feel about
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
because the problem is that, every month there's charges and I have a correlating receipt.
Right.
When you just take $1,000 out of the bank, it's kind of like a petty cash account where you're spending it down and hitting the receipts as you spend it down. Making sure somebody somebody could steal from that before you reconcile it. Like everything about town accounts is about, security and making sure that nobody has access. So I'm not sure how the auditors would feel about that, but I'm happy to call the credit card companies directly and see if they'll issue one.
Yeah, I mean,
It's just you usually-
card, I mean, that's basically what we are.
It is, but you don't have, so this is what you get into.
Even a commercial card.
You don't have a chairman, a vice chairman, and when you do
We have
that,
a board of selectmen.
and you need their social security numbers. Just like that, those signature cards have your social security numbers on them. That's what the card wants. I will try, but I'm just giving you a heads up that we may be back in this boat.
My credit cards only have my EIN number on it.
Well, right,
But
but you
I've had
are
them
the
forever,
chairman, and it doesn't change. You own
Yeah.
that company, you're at the Secretary of State. Here, this board changes potentially every year. I don't know, I mean, I couldn't get it 3 years ago. I'm just warning you that if we can't figure that out and nobody wants to tie it to their name or social security, then we're gonna not have a card, and we're gonna have to figure out the ramifications of that.
Yeah, and the other part of that is, do you keep a couple of $1,000s in a cash box here, to be able to,
Yeah, except that you can't.
but I mean, we have keys out to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. I mean, you're not gonna keep that kind of cash around. I mean, that doesn't make sense at all.
So I had one more thing to add to the agenda. I got a building permit application at the end of the day today. David Pandora has signed off on it, It is to build an 8x8 entryway in front of a building on top of a 7x16 existing deck at 60 Old Colony Road. And David has signed off on it, so if the chairman wants to sign that, if you guys want to make a motion, normally that would go in the consent file, so.
I make a motion to approve the building permit for 60 Old Colony Road.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I shouldn't say all in favor, I should say. It's kind of being pushy. Okay, appointments, we're waiting. Let's skip over that. Old business, DOT project, anything from Jason?
No, I emailed him on Monday, and I've not heard back from him, so I will ping him again tonight before I go home and see.
This is Jason from,
Jason Ayotte, he's the project manager for project 29597, the Route 16, from New Hampshire DOT.
have we contacted the North Country Council to see if they'll do another traffic study during tourist season?
Nope. You guys want me to do that?
I spoke with Nick on my way in tonight. He's from North Country Council, and this was about the 11316 project, but he said that they're gonna be doing speed studies this year, that he wanted to know if we want to be on it. I said, absolutely. The road studies, typically done by the state, they can, they do different sections of the state from what I understand. They're gonna be up doing this area, doing speed studies, so he's gonna add us onto that grouping. I mentioned that the traffic study seemed to be an off-peak time of year for that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't even make sense.
It still shows in our favor, it still shows,
But it doesn't meet the criteria.
but it doesn't meet the criteria for a streetlight.
Right.
But it meets the criteria for just about everything else. So we're gonna question that again. I wanted, because I just talked to him today, but I can get on a list to do that. It doesn't mean to be this year. But I can, he's very willing to do what it takes. But
Well, I don't
it's
think
not
it-
entirely up to him either.
Yeah.
But I could speak to that once we get into this conversation. It'll be part of it. And let's see, that's all we had on there. Well, we can go back to number 5, for appointments. We're gonna meet with the state representative, Chris McAleer, and regarding pending legislation, and I think we're all aware of it. We were given the heads up on that today. I'm Kelly Robitel, I'm the chair.
Nice to meet you.
Rick Highland and Jim Druin.
Nice to meet you all. You too.
Nice to meet you. And I was happy to see that you responded. We sent letters out to everyone. We were compelled by the townspeople at a town meeting, because that's how adamant they are and how much they are watching this. I don't suppose you're too aware of us. We're kind of the furthest edge of your jurisdiction, from what I understand.
You've actually been in my jurisdiction for both of my terms, even though
Yep.
they gerrymander things. And
Right.
took away the Conways and gave us Sandwich,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
actually worked out quite fine.
yeah. So you've had Albany.
So I've had all my, I remember a couple of years ago coming to a meeting out there. And there were
Last year.
a bunch of boards, was that about
Yeah.
the road?
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah. And so I understand you've been turned down for 40 miles an hour.
We've been turned down for 45. Not that we've been turned down, we just haven't been approved for it.
No, we were turned down for 40.
Well,
That's what we requested on
Yeah.
October 19th, 2022. We
yes,
actually asked them to do the study to
Do
go
the
to 40.
right. And when they did the study,
We just didn't meet, we don't meet the mathematical formula that they use.
I don't know how aware you are of how that study works, how the speed limits are set, which,
Well, I've taken the time since I got the letter to contact people in the Department of Transportation and talk to them. I actually got a couple of copies of some things here. I think they're all together.
Thank you.
Yeah, actually, give it 3. But in this, the first piece is there's a letter from this Kathleen McKaylee, and talking about the bill. And you had referenced, Kelly, that you couldn't find
Yeah,
section
because
2.
that's the new part.
Right.
But it goes into a tractor trailer section, which is bizarre.
Well,
And
this,
according to the definition on the back of 471, I don't believe Route 16 meets the definition of an unimproved rural highway. They have the definition of what 259 and 116A is going to say, and it's unimproved rural highway.
well, this is a new section that will go into that bill. And it's right in that paragraph right in the middle. It says SB 471. Doesn't say anything about trucks there. It talks about a 2-lane highway. And unimproved means that there's 2 lanes. If you had a passing lane or 2 lanes in either direction, that would not fit the bill. But I just drove the length of the town, and you don't have that. Coming south, the first passing lane is actually in Madison.
that's Madison, yeah.
And the next passing lane is in Tamworth. So you have no passing lane. And so it references here this Kathy, and also it references in the last paragraph Bill Lambert. Now he's the guy that'll make the decision, and I spoke to him a couple times on the phone today, and I think there's a good chance that you could get 45 miles an hour. Now, again, will that be acceptable to the town? Because it's certainly not 40, but 45 would be a step in the right direction. Now, again, this bill has passed the Senate, so it goes to the House. At first it goes to the Transportation Committee, and I've contacted them, and I haven't got an answer back, but it's not on the schedule yet, the bill not on the schedule. I would strongly suggest that you encourage people, when the bill gets into committee, to go down there and they can sign up and speak, but really make it well known that the town is really for this 45 miles an hour. Lambert would probably be there. If I have a chance, I'll be there as well. I don't think there's going to be any problem in getting the bill passed. I really think it'll.
Oh, no, it passed the Senate 24-0.
Right, so, yeah.
Did you watch the public hearing?
No, I didn't, no.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, they're all on YouTube, every one of them,
But Bill Lambert spoke to the bill.
Yeah.
And they submitted this to Waters to put in the legislation.
Right.
And it was to fill the gap between 35 and 55. From the description that he gave, and you should probably watch that, okay, a lot of it has to do with the engineering involved with the road.
Right.
If a road has been upgraded from an engineering standpoint, they don't usually make recommendations to lower speed limits. It's for some of the older roads that are breaking up on the edges and there's trees, 2 feet off the edge of the road and that sort of thing. That's what they put this in for. He gave a good description, because I watched it. If you want to do it, it was held on the 4th of January, and it's about 1 hour, 22 minutes into the video, and it was very short. I mean, they were only speaking to it for probably 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was.
Him and Cass were there, Commissioner Cass.
So it was easily a done deal in the Senate, and Waters has a lot of influence there as a supporter of the bill. Lambert, by the way, is familiar with the road here, because he's
been up here.
I spoke with them.
I did 6 years ago.
I spoke with him just before he got moved, and he said he said someone needs to someone needs to get a bill.
Yeah.
Someone needs to push this up, and he said it's harder for him to set speed limits without this.
Right.
So he's all for it, you're absolutely right. And it seemed like Cass, he did a lot of head nodding too, like he was
Right.
all for
Yeah.
it, so. It gives them more tools that they can use
Yeah.
to set these speed limits, which,
He said he's from Rumford, Maine, so when he goes back home, he uses Route 16, I guess probably Route 2.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we've stood, and Rick has too, with both those gentlemen on this road. I've stood there with Mr. Cass down the end one day and watched traffic just pile through. And he said they've been watching this for many, many years. Many years, he said, and with multiple people. I'm sure Rick stood there with them too. And,
Oh, yeah, no, we walked a good section of it along the side of the road with a highway truck walking along behind, aside of us with their flashing lights on so we didn't get hit.
yeah.
I think now you just gotta make a good show of it. And again, I would certainly encourage you folks and maybe some of the town folks that are more vocal to go down there and speak, just, even just a couple of minutes. And
Let me ask you this. We have some people in town that are very adamant about this, especially the one that prompted us to send the letter.
Right.
We had a room full of people that were all for it. It was pretty much voted unanimous for us to send the letter. Is there another way to be proactive in contacting people ahead of time so they know the seriousness of it? A lot of people can't make a trip down.
Right.
Well, let me give you I've been involved down there quite a bit, okay?
Yeah.
You can get on the internet right now and
Right.
put in your written testimony online, right at your computer at home.
So
And I'd be happy to show anybody how to
If
do
you-
it.
just give us that information, we can forward it to townspeople.
Sure.
I'm trying to rattle the cage. I'm trying to,
Well, that's simply what you have to do,
Yeah.
is rattle the cage. The more people, the merrier. You could send a basic form letter to every one of the representatives, but again, the first place is to start is the actual department, the committee, the
yeah.
transportation committee, and get that thing passed like 20 to nothing, and then it'll go through quite easily, the House.
Yeah.
But still, it doesn't hurt to write House members. You got some other people besides Anita and myself in Carroll County at least that you could write. Or Wolfboro and Wakefield.
Well, the thing to do is to write to the committee, and you can do that online.
Right.
You can press a button, and you can send the thing to the whole committee.
If you send me that link, I can put that on the front page
It's
of the
really,
website, and that way you can just tell people.
the House
to check
is
our
very
website.
easy to do, the
That's
Senate
what I'm
is
talking
harder.
about.
I can just put a link on the page of our website.
Yeah,
If you.
make it easy for them.
If you, I don't have the grassroots, like, know the
Yeah.
right people in town, but you know who was at that public hearing and who was the most vocal about it. And, you know, Peter Dunconix, various people, Sean.
I'd love to have
And I can.
some
put-
type of pamphlet
And I
or
can-
paper that has that on it, because I'll hand it out to people up and down the
Well,
road.
the thing you
Just tell them to go
want
to
to
the front
do,
page of the website,
Okay.
and that way I can put a link on there.
you need to do this like right away, because they've sent that over to the House.
The House,
It's
the
gonna go
process,
through the
exactly.
Transportation Committee, they haven't set a date, because I already checked that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
and you've got up until I think 11 o'clock or 11:30 in the morning on the day of the hearing, okay, to get your written testimony
We have a
in.
hearing date?
Not
Not yet, they
yet,
haven't
'cause it just
established
crossed
it.
over.
But they could say 2 days from now,
Okay.
it's on the agenda
Yeah.
for a hearing. I mean, it's
I'll
crazy.
find out when the hearing is. I've got, ears out to let
Well,
people know.
isn't Mark McConkey
I
chair
spoke
of the
with him
Transportation
yesterday.
Committee?
No, he's on the road committee.
Highway.
I know Mark, I'm gonna
Highway?
talk to him about this
Okay.
as well. But he's a good person to
Right.
contact as well.
No, I
because
spoke with him
I have
yesterday.
been told by several representatives that I'm friends with, that this should have no problem passing.
You should have no problem passing.
You don't take that to the bank.
No, but I think,
But not only passing, you just gotta show real enthusiasm, because passing just gives you the ability to take it to.
Well, it also has got to go to the governor.
Well, but if you get what we got in the Senate, you get that in committee, you get that in the House.
It passed 24-0 in
Yeah.
the Senate. I mean, I'd be hard pressed to see it not pass.
No,
I mean,
I-
it's a tool for the DOT.
I don't disagree
It's
with you.
not controversial,
Right.
okay? It's not partisan,
So,
okay?
this speed limit is just one piece of the puzzle for what we're trying to do for our stretch of Route 16. We have a project, a 10-year project that I believe it's on 14 years. We lost count.
16.
16.
You didn't have gray hair when
Yeah,
you were...
So we're fighting a battle here. The state has come in, you were at the meeting, you said, we had a room full of very excitable townspeople. It was almost wrong to have a meeting and not follow up. I'm gonna talk to Jason about that, because you dangled the carrot out in front of people.
Yeah.
And you didn't make promises, but you said this is what we're gonna do, and I feel like we're getting kicked to the curb.
Right.
So, I know there's not enough money to do the whole thing, I know the money, but we have other people that say there's money to be had for safety issues, for.
Right.
We're calling this a safety issue, and people agree with that.
I think even talking about incidents of that, particular incidents at that committee meeting would be helpful. And again, people can just call in their vote as well.
Oh, yeah.
Typically after a meeting or after a bill, the chairman will say, well, we just got, 100 people for it and 3 people against it. So people, as you said, just writing in.
Well, if you write in, even online, all of it, what you wrote in, and it can be short and sweet. It doesn't have
Oh,
to
I'm
be a
sure
long,
they'll be short and
lengthy
sweet.
thing.
They'll probably be censored.
Okay, you're for it or against it,
Yeah.
you know, are you just a public person, a citizen, or are you a selectman or whatever, you identify yourself. That goes actually into the public record, your written testimony.
If you address the committee chairman is Thomas Walsh. So you would say, Chairman Thomas Walsh and members of the committee, here's our thinking on.
I'll send you an email that'll set all that up if you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah, that's
I'm
what I
gonna
like.
tell you, every time we run across this, and this 10-year plan is a joke. Okay, because they put it out 10 years and then they revise it, and there's never no money to do anything, okay? I suggest that we write legislation for Albany. And better than that, let's meet with Tamworth, Madison, and Conway, and make it a 4-town. Even Ossipee might get in on it.
Ossipee's
Okay.
getting all the frosting right now, it seems, they're getting.
And write legislation specifically geared to this. You know, the thing that gets me is, the Concord turns around and promotes tourists and the tourism business, okay? And we have to put up with all the crap from the tourists up here. Okay? And then when we've got lines of traffic all summer, we have to deal with that and work around it, okay? They like to grab the money and run, and they don't even share the money the way they're supposed to, okay?
If you guys come up with a bill, I'd be glad to.
Well, no, I've said this before, the only problem with legislation, okay, we can hand the bill to this gentleman here, okay, and get Anita to go along with it, and I'm sure we could get Jeb to sign on to it, okay? There's a lot of groundwork that we're involved in that is gonna have to be done. You're gonna have to make a couple of trips to Concord. You don't just put the bill in and cross your fingers. If you're serious about this, legislation would be the way to accomplish
I
it.
1000% agree, and I'm sure we're all on board with that, except writing a bill is out of my league.
We don't have to write the bill, we have to identify what we want to accomplish,
Yeah.
okay, and put a price on it. Legislative services down there will actually
They'll write.
dot all the i's and cross all the t's.
Yeah, if
I've
you
done
give me
this-
if you give me a set of ideas. I'll take
I've
it
done
to
this with the
people.
broadband legislation, okay? I know the procedure. The thing is,
You just gotta do it.
you can't sit on your thumbs while this is happening. And sometimes, you know, Jeb has called me on broadband legislation and said, hey, can you make the public hearing? I can't make it because I got a other commitment. Matt Platch and I went down. You know, you gotta make these trips to Concord. You know, and that's the way it's gonna happen if it's gonna happen. And you gotta get a respectable number, which means you'll have to work with DOT to find out what you wanna accomplish, what's it gonna cost to do, because DOT is gonna end up doing it.
What do you want to accomplish? I mean, you don't want to widen the road, do you?
Their plan,
Well, they're,
their 10-year plan is to widen the road and put rumble strips. That was the original plan. But when they come up and did the study, they realized there's a lot more to do.
Right.
We had a $9 point something million project.
9.1, and it came out to be 16.3.
Once
To do
they-
the section that
Right.
is on that 10-year plan.
Once they realized that that's not enough, it got much more complicated with a bigger price tag. And then when they asked us what's important to us as a town, it wasn't exactly what they were trying to accomplish, so.
It's not even what they're, so the number one thing is they've got to get the concrete out of the road. Like that, there's concrete
Underneath
underneath
concrete
there.
roads.
Underneath the asphalt is.
And so
Concrete.
a large part of that $9.1 million was already earmarked for that in the rumble strip project.
You're talking about the rumble strip right down the center of the road.
Yeah,
I got one.
I think they were doing, well, that,
No, there is not one out there.
that starts in the Madison line.
Okay.
And
There's
we're
not.
not great on rumble strips.
I know one. I
Nobody-
live on 16.
Nobody-
Every time I.
Well, you can hear them at night from the house, you just,
It's too much.
but the it's line of sight, taking out a lot of the turns, straightening things out, and squaring up intersections
Yeah.
to make them more accessible coming in and out.
It's turning lanes.
And turning lanes. So that's when it got, now we're talking turning lanes, that we were talking about roundabouts, there was a lot of conversation. So I think the project just stalled because,
Well, the whole bypass Conway thing is dead.
yes.
And that probably would have made a big
I
difference
think
if they did.
this
that.
was actually part of
Yeah.
that back in the day.
Exactly.
Because we are the gateway to Conway. We are the last one they hit.
Yeah.
You'll see it turns to Madison, but it turns to Albany again.
Yes.
At the Kank.
Yeah,
Just shortly, but we're the last hurrah before they hit Conway.
right.
So when they're heading up here on vacation, they're just flying through here to get where they gotta be. And it's not always speed, it's a lot of distractions, a lot of people, you know, they say the majority of accidents happen within 100 feet of your home, because you think you're home, you think you're there, and you're not paying attention, so. I live on 16, Rick lives on 16, Jim travels 16.
I live right off it.
It's right off it, we're very well aware of the safety issues. There's more near misses that people don't talk about. And we had a couple that weren't near misses in the last 2 years that kind of spurred the whole thing on. But as one person said at that meeting, this is our downtown.
Right,
This is what we have, so we gotta fight for it.
right.
I think legislation is the way to go.
I agree.
If you took and added to the 9 million that they're gonna do work on currently, that would lower the cost of the
The word
legislation.
is, and what I've heard, and I'm not gonna say any names, Mark McConkey, but he said a lot of times at the end of the year, there's money left to go towards safety concerns.
Sure.
There's money left to add to projects, and he was gonna look into that too. We're just not there yet, but if we need to fight for more money, then we need people that are gonna fight for us.
Right.
And I'd like to include you on some of these emails that we're passing around, so you
Please
are
do.
well aware of what's going on
Yep.
here. So if you're in a crowd and all of a sudden you hear something, your ears will perk up and say, no, that's Albany, we know about Albany. So we're trying to get on the map here. I'm just an old farm boy when it comes to bills and grants and things. I'm gonna rely on Rick for that. And, well, you know, this is all a part-time job for us, so we need.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, we need more boots on the ground, so I'm glad you responded to the
My
email.
pleasure.
You're alone, so.
I kept Anita informed.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't think two of us needed to be down here, but I
Yeah.
kept her up to date. And we're actually in session tomorrow. I'll see some of the folks from the southern part of the
Yeah.
county, and I'll see if I can bend their ear a little bit as well. You had many deer incidents along here?
We used to till they all got killed from getting hit. I mean, that's,
Back on November 8th, I hit a deer on Route 16 just below Storyland in Jackson. And scared the hell out of me. When I drive at night through here, I take it easy. I
Oh.
really take it easy.
we should have fake deer on the side of the road to slow people down.
Oh, they wouldn't even see him.
Yeah. Now, I've heard discussion that we need to take care of ourselves. And I didn't like the attitude, I can't say where it came from, but talking about we need to step up and have more patrols, we need to have our police department, which we don't have.
Right.
We use the first sheriff's department.
But it's a state road, don't the states do something?
They're
The county?
busy, they're busy, and I wouldn't argue that, but they're
Yeah.
too busy to sit on watch for
They do,
speeders.
they do pull people over,
Oh,
because
they
I
do.
drive it to and from work. I've seen state troopers giving tickets.
Yeah,
on
no, they're
16
out
and
there.
sheriffs.
They were at our meeting, they're well
Yeah.
aware of our concerns. The sheriff's budget, we increased for more patrol on specifically Route 16. And it has, their visibility has increased. But ticketing is a whole different, certain criteria to give a ticket.
And when it's a tourist that only comes up here once a year and he gets a ticket, he just goes home hating Albany, New Hampshire. He doesn't care that he's not coming back, and it's
There's
It's
a
not-
list of all the statutory fines in that
Yeah.
stuff I handed out.
Well, I think when people notice a speed limit drop, they think there's a reason for it.
Right.
If they're cruising all the way up here at 50, then they're just cruising right through. But if we can get a speed limit drop and have it well signed, and I also heard in that meeting that Rick sent that there's other ways of slowing people down too, with signage and,
And one of those signs, the little big signs that you're exceeding the speed limit, or?
well, that's all state, and we can't tell the state to put a sign up.
no, and the like solar run speed, generally those are put out on trailers by your police department. We don't have a police department, a public works, I'm not gonna trailer that behind my car and put it out. We don't, I mean, I'd have to apply for a grant, those things are about $25,000, we would
Yeah.
apply for a grant, get half of it, so it'd be $1250, and then what, I'm gonna tow it behind my car, we have no public works, no fire, no police department. Those
Is Conway your police department?
Sheriff's Department.
sheriffs,
County
we
sheriffs.
contract with the sheriff's department, Conway is our fire department, and we have an elected road agent.
So,
Welcome to Albany.
yeah,
Well, I remember the days in Jackson when we had no police department, no fire department. Now we've got 3 full-time police people and a full chief and.
they say we're getting close to that, but we just can't
Yeah.
fathom.
It would double our budget,
Yeah,
and I don't think the taxpayers are gonna,
No.
and it's mostly for one road.
Yep.
The rest of the town is.
And it isn't even a town road.
exactly.
That's right, so.
And they promote tourism and they should deal with it. I think legislation is the way to go.
I agree, and you'll be seeing and
Count me
hearing
in.
about this, okay.
Come in and see what we can do.
Yeah.
But the louder your people are,
Oh, we're ready.
Oh, no, that,
We can rally the troops, we just need to have.
I think getting some other towns along 16 would help if you're gonna do legislation as well.
yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Madison was on board, they were at, a lot of them were at that meeting. The the police department and the fire department went to the meeting. So, and we will be having another one, which you'll be invited to, so we're talking spring, but that's on the state to put that together.
You have my email and my phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, you're on the list.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All
Thank you,
right.
appreciate it.
Thanks for making the
Thank you.
trip.
My pleasure.
Have a good day.
Ah,
Yeah, I know how you feel.
getting old.
Yeah.
How about, if you're serious about this, Kelly?
Rick, I'm at
Why don't-
120,000% serious.
I get that, I
I
sense
just am
that.
out of my element. I can scream and
What-
yell all day, but
I realize that, but yet
putting
more
pencil to
people-
paper is,
Well, that's the easiest part of it. Let's get a meeting of select boards with Madison, and then with Tamworth.
we have to go
I
five.
tried to do that last time I was a selectman, because there's a lot of things in town that we could share.
Mhm.
You could share code enforcement officers, dog officers, et cetera. Okay, the trouble is every year, some of these select boards change. And their priorities change, and their attitudes change. And the only way you're gonna control taxes in the future is to get together with the other small towns and co-op some things.
I think we'd have
I
to
mean, that's dollars and cents.
have an agenda of what our intentions are and see that they're all like-minded about it.
Well, you know, Madison is on this, and they, first of all, would they be interested in going in and getting legislation
I don't
and
see why they
pursuing it?
wouldn't.
You know, Tamworth,
Doesn't cost anything, except
you know,
time.
when I was selectman last, I mean, Dan Poirier was the chair of the Tamworth Police Department. I knew several of the selectmen down there, but they're all gone. I know a couple of the people on the Ossipee Select Board right now. It might be worth getting them involved. Is there issues in their section of Route 16 that would benefit?
There's a ton of work being done also.
Oh, I know.
I think,
Well, that's because they're losing the edge of the road. That downhill by where Northern Tire and Auto is the next piece that Coleman's already started on.
Yeah.
I mean, they're mobilizing now. That's the second part of the first part they did last summer. The edge of the road is gone. Like, you hit that on a foggy night or something, and there's no road there. So I get why they're getting the attention right now, but what about, I don't understand why some parts of 16 get paved year after year, you know, every 2 years, and the Albany part can't get a hooray. It just makes no
Like I
rhyme or
said, we're
reason.
just a small town, and the squeaky wheel does get grease.
well, I think
But we're such a small town and nobody really squeaks.
the reason I didn't want to involve other towns is that I was afraid that that would just stall what project we have going. That they're gonna look at a bigger project.
Well,
And
yeah.
I'll put us out another 10, 15 years, because now they're gonna do a grand scale project. I was hoping to get us done, and then they could patch to meet us. I was kinda thinking, why
Yeah,
stop
but
what's
what
in
you gotta
motion?
do, numbers matter in Concord.
Yes, but if they say, okay, we're gonna stop the project in Albany and put the whole thing together, it's gonna take us 20 years to get it accomplished.
Well,
Right, and the 9.1 million that's already approved was approved for stuff that DOT wants done, not for stuff we want
Right, I
done.
know.
They keep acting like
Yeah.
they're having public hearings and they're interested, but, you know,
Well,
there's
let's put
drainage problems,
legislation in just
there's.
for the intersection at 113.
So, let me I'll act dumb, because I'm really good at it, but legislation for 113,
The intersection.
that's with the state.
No.
What are you actually, you're just asking them to fix it?
We're putting money, appropriating money to fix it and do it right
Appropriating money from the state.
from the state.
Well, that was my next conversation.
And get Madison involved in that, because that affects a lot of people
It
from
does.
Madison.
I spoke with Nick on my way in, from North Country Council, and we talked about the engineering from HEB and what it means, because what's the next step? It's not, there's nothing saying this is the way to do it. It's like, you could do it this way, you could do it that way, but you don't qualify for this, but you So I said, where are we with this? What happens next? And he said that the 3.5 million, the 3 point something million that HEB price tagged this for, it's not, it doesn't change the safety issue significantly enough for the state to really go for it. He said the argument from the state would be, you need a bigger project for the safety issue to mitigate the safety issue. He said it's not that it wouldn't be nice to fix it a little bit, but he said, and this came from Jordan from HEB, that people are very excited at the state level about roundabouts. They think it's the way to go, it's the future, it saves lives,
No.
it's traffic flow. The argument for it would be better served than to try to do a little something that the state's gonna say it's really not gonna amount to enough to invest $3.5 million.
A roundabout at intersection of 113 will back traffic all the way back up the hill.
That's what I'm thinking.
And the biggest
Okay.
problem there is line of sight. heading
Leon
north,
Kennison,
up
who
the
was
hill.
the commissioner of DOT, was my neighbor in Bow, and that was his big thing. He brought roundabouts to the state. I fought him tooth and nail in Bow because they wanted to put one in the middle of Bow, and there still isn't one there.
I mean, I'm thinking a roundabout must slow you down to 35 at least.
Oh, it does,
It
there's
does,
no
but it creates
question.
all kinds of other problems. Like
Right,
yeah.
I said in the town I worked in Greenville, got two. They were undersized, tractor trailers got hung up on them
Yeah.
all winter. Then they had to wait for a tractor, or a flatbed that can tow a tractor trailer off the center of a roundabout. They love it because this is the new thing, traffic calming. So anytime you say you want to slow down traffic, instead of addressing speed limits, they want traffic calming devices, and the traffic calming device is a roundabout. And they won't properly size it potentially, and you will be dealing for the rest. We're gonna get one in Wolfboro, that's what they're gonna do at the top of 28.
Oh, no.
At that blink, they won't put a light in, which could be managed for tourism season, you could change the light, you know, for winter is different than summer is different than, oh no, they're gonna put a roundabout, and Brewster Academy has already agreed to give them the property. And that downtown, that straight section of 28, you're not going to be able to get in or out of the docks in Wolfboro because it's going to be a roundabout, and nobody will yield because they don't have to.
I always go back.
113 needs the line of sight taken care of.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, I think that
And
would be a
also
good
changing
project.
Wildwood,
And
wouldn't that,
align everything.
having that feed in the other way, isn't that kind of a no-brainer? Instead of bringing it down to the intersection?
I don't particularly agree with it. I think
No?
I think it should be aligned, moved over and aligned with 113
Put lights in.
and fix the
I think,
line of sight.
I've always argued that the Cank has a light, they have the same traffic we have. We have more traffic on 113 coming out than the Cank has in its busiest season. We have it daily, so for them to say a light.
I thought they said it didn't qualify for a light.
They say it didn't qualify for some guidelines, but I'm not buying it. I think,
I agree.
we know what, because we drive it.
Was that because the traffic study was done at the wrong time?
You know,
That's the
most
way
of the
it's-
traffic that comes in 113 is heading into Conway,
Right.
okay? Why not put a turning lane in there and a blend line going onto 16?
That's what we
Headed
had
north.
talked about.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes common sense pays big dividends.
It's,
But
But it comes back to we need to come up with a solid plan
And money.
and then.
And
well, it's a
another
state
section for
road,
money.
and the state should, and Curtis was right, he stood right there and he said, this is a state road, it's a state problem, they need to fund it.
Yeah,
We
oh,
shouldn't,
yeah.
we shouldn't be funding
Right.
anything.
No, we
Yeah, and you
shouldn't.
see how that goes.
I know.
Your 10-year plan becomes your 16-year
Well,
plan, which
the other
becomes your
thing,
20-year plan.
you do is maybe get the federal legislators involved as well. I know they're not the most competent people, but, is there federal money? All federal money has to go through the state anyways. Is there federal money available to do something like this? And the government, they think nothing of spending $1 trillion on this, that, or the other thing. What's a couple of million?
Heated sidewalks.
What's a couple of million, you know, I mean.
Well, all right. This was,
We beat it to
We need
death.
to come up with a plan.
we do, and I think my head's spinning tonight, so we're gonna bring this
Well,
to
in
the
the
next
short
meeting.
term, can you get me the link
Yes.
for people to write to support
I will
this
do that.
471, whether it works for us or not? It seems like it's a no-brainer that this
Yes.
bill passes.
Yes.
So let's get that at least, so I can get that on the website Monday morning, and then you can tell people just to go to the front page of our website, and it'll be at the bottom of the front page.
He said he was gonna talk to the chairman of that committee to find out when it's scheduled.
Yeah,
'Cause-
he's gonna find out when the
Let us
hearing's
know.
scheduled.
All right.
It's,
Um,
do we need the hearing to be scheduled before people start writing in?
Well, it'll confuse people if you, I can send you to the link to do it, but you gotta be able to go down and find the bill. I mean,
So it's a
I-
template, you just get put into a template and you have to do
Well,
it.
I give you a link and it'll bring you right to what you gotta fill out
Okay.
as soon as they schedule it.
So you can't just put in,
Let me see
you
if,
can't just put in a comment about Senate Bill 471.
If you
have
went
to have
to
the hearing date.
471 right now, it may or may not be listed yet.
Okay.
And it may not be listed under that committee yet. Let
Okay,
me-
well, as soon
when
as
I-
we hear
when
from
I go
him.
home, I'll look and see if they've done anything. with
Okay.
it. As of yesterday, they have.
Okay.
I think we're gonna have to put an explanation, just a short one with, in case someone goes to a website for another reason, how would.
Well,
we-
I'll just put speed limit on 16
Yeah.
as a
something
heading,
grab
and
them.
then underneath it, I'll say, there is potential legislation being considered right now
To address.
to potentially address, because we don't know for sure.
No, it's a lot of potential.
I'm not convinced
No,
that,
This
but let's,
doesn't address really what, this gives them the tool to
no,
properly
and
do it.
DOT itself
This
will
is
tell
not
you,
an
and DOT will tell you itself, the speed limit doesn't, people drive the speed limit, they think it's safe to drive. It doesn't, posted speed limits
mean,
don't.
what's
But we
the-
have, we
But it's
have
another
residents that want it. so
Yep.
That's why we do it.
Absolutely, so we'll give them a way
Yeah.
to express their concerns.
give me everybody's name and I'll get on there and I'll do everybody all in one shot.
Do the whole
I don't know if there was
state.
was there a sign-up sheet from that public hearing? Because they manage all that, I didn't manage that, I don't know if there was a
There was.
sign-up sheet or not.
There was a sign-up sheet.
When I email Jason again, I'll
Yeah.
ask him for that sign-up sheet.
Yeah. I don't know if they put address and all that, but I know there was a sign-up sheet.
You know, and also ask these people, you know, they're all upset about it, are they willing to travel to Concord and testify? It makes a big difference when you
You
fill
see
a
Sean
room.
Wadsworth now more than I do.
He'll drive down there with you.
All right, so,
Don't go there.
where are we?
7.
Number 7, other business. Planning board hasn't met yet, and you're on the, has that,
Do they have a scheduled meeting, do you know?
They meet the,
Second Monday of the month.
yes, but this month they're meeting on the 22nd. They moved it from the, yeah, so it was regularly scheduled for April 8th is the regular meeting date, and they had to move it to the 22nd because of the eclipse.
um,
So the next planning board meeting is on Monday, April 22nd, and I believe they start at 6:30.
has he got all his information? Sean, to email him now?
Nope, but I will share that with him.
Yeah, please. Because there's some good stuff going on that you're gonna probably want a heads up before you go to the meeting, what's going on in town. Okay. Conservation Commission, nothing there. Zoning Board of Adjustment, nothing going on there just yet.
We met and organized last night.
Oh, good, good. Okay, review and discuss first quarter fire EMS statistics.
No action item, just something for you guys to see.
Okay. They've discussed an email from the Henny Historical Fund. I've not heard of them.
They're reaching out, I think, to our historical fund to see if we need any assistance with anything. We don't have a historical, to the best of my knowledge, there is no active historical society or historical committee here, so
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to be dealing with the stuff in the chapel. Rick had asked me about it. I don't. I'm gonna be dealing with getting updated pricing on the steeple work.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I got, so I don't know.
Well, that's,
I mean, they can't, we need somebody to liaison with them. They can't be our historical committee, so if we had somebody for them to liaison with, we could
Well,
make
back,
probably help
last
us.
time I was a selectman, we had a small chapel committee. It comprised of, I think, Dorothy, Solomon, Peter Dunconik. I can't remember who else.
They dissolved that committee because Peter and Dorothy came in and said that they had served the purpose, they served the mission.
Right, well, no, I'm
And
just
then-
saying, and they did an inventory, and I know Peter supplied the town with an inventory.
We have it.
Most of the stuff in there doesn't really pertain directly to the town. There were a bunch of books over there that the town purchased through their historical group.
Yeah.
That should be preserved and probably put in a place where we could put them out for sale and get rid of them, because they're all brand-new printed books. There's some artifacts over there that would be historical of nature, that should be preserved for the town. But, I mean, somebody's gotta step up and do that. We could use, if we're gonna preserve some of the documentation that's over there, we're gonna need things that we can store them in that'll preserve and stop any deterioration. So, and there's a lot of junk over there.
Let's hold on a little bit.
I mean, there's probably 5 or 10% of the stuff over there the town really should probably preserve.
Maybe, just an idea, but when we have a very short agenda one time, maybe we could all go over and take a look and as, well, I've never.
Yeah, no, I went through it with Peter
Yeah,
back then.
just to get it, I can't say without seeing it, so maybe we could do that one, very short.
You know, we may be able to have an auction here, get an auctioneer here, and there's some things over there that will probably bring some money. And put it toward the restoration of the steeple, or something of that nature. You skipped over other, the only thing that I would, like to say from the ZBA meeting last night.
Yeah.
There's only $551 in their budget line. And they're gonna be in need of more than that. They're gonna probably, if things go the way we think they may go, there may be 2 or 3 more meetings that have to be done. And just in stipends alone, they're gonna overspend that. Just, we don't have to do anything, I'm just bringing you up to speed and preparing you for it.
And
That's all I have.
I had a question from Sean Wadsworth, as long as we're under other. He had emailed me, I think on Monday. And he said, hi Kelly, would you send along our town council contact info to me? I'm going to have Andrew Dean below send his pitch/proposal to me first, then I'll pass it along to town council if it passes muster. So I looked at the email that he had attached, and it says, hi Sean, Josh McAllister, who's with HEB, suggested I contact you about the Habitat for Humanity subdivision. I had a couple of thoughts that I wanted to discuss with town council, but I am not sure who that would be. Can you let me know who Albany currently uses? I believe it was and maybe still is Rick Sager from Sager and Smith. And this comes from Andrew Dean, who's with Cooper, Cargill, and Chan. So I just wrote back to Sean and I said, I don't have the authority to approve that. Even I have to go before the Board of Selectmen unless it's an emergency, legal issue, and I have to call right away, and then I let the board know as soon as possible what happened. And he said he understands. I was going to send the Albany Council contact to Andrew Dean. I was drafting an email to ask him to present to the planning board for a preliminary consultation if he likes. Attorney seems a very back way to do this.
Sneaky.
Off the record. So, Sean, I mean, I think it's premature. We don't have, I think they did file an application with the planning board, but I don't think the planning board has voted that application complete. So before there's a viable application before either the planning board or the zoning board, why would we let an attorney talk to another attorney with no limit and no direction? And
I wouldn't support that at all.
I mean, I don't mind giving
That's
Sean our
sneaky.
attorney, but I'll tell him the Board of Selectmen hasn't approved our attorney discussing this with anybody yet, and
No, we're not.
if and when the planning board or the zoning board has a viable application and they need legal counsel, then by all means, let the selectmen know and we'll clear that, but, I mean,
You know, the thing is, it's our legal counsel, not theirs,
Right.
okay? And until it gets to court or something of that nature, that attorney shouldn't be speaking to our attorney at all.
So they've always wanted a legal line, they used to have a legal line.
Well, a lot of things get left out of the budget.
Yeah, but when they had one, did they have the authority to just use it when they call a lawyer if they had a question?
no, you have a board policy about
Right,
that.
so,
Yeah, the line in the budget doesn't authorize them to spend it. It's just there because
Yeah.
of budget law, New Hampshire budget law.
we're not there yet.
And I
Oh,
think
no,
part of
but-
why we put it back in the town legal line is so that you can manage it, because that's where it sits. If planning board or zoning board needs to spend legal money, and there's a viable need, then nobody's gonna say no, but it's gonna be managed through
Which
board of
would-
selectmen and through
Which
that.
it would be anyway, even if it was in their line. if they had their
I
own
mean,
line.
even back when you were a selectman last, okay? The first year I was a selectman last, okay? The planning board budget was like $21,000. And I think there was like $10,000 or $12,000 in the legal fund because they were always getting into trouble because they argue with each other. You remember those
I
days?
remember those days. So let's, you can't just run a question by an attorney, every question costs money, so.
Yeah.
I think when he gets to the point where we're stuck and we need guidance, then they can come back and ask.
Well, my rule of thumb for 6 years, okay, was if you need a legal opinion, you start with the municipal association. If they feel that it's such a question that it should come from town council, they will advise you that.
And Sean did that. He went to both the legal counsel for NCC and NHMA's legal counsel already. So,
Yep.
without knowing what this attorney wants to talk to our attorney about, this is another piece of that. It's like, no.
Yeah.
It's just two attorneys billing everybody $275 an
I
hour.
wouldn't support that at all.
Okay, I'll let him know that, I think our legal counsel is public information, but, and I'll tell you right now, our legal counsel will not talk to this attorney without us saying to talk to him.
He knows better.
Is it still not, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else on the other? You have anything?
Nope,
Jim?
nope. No, I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Yeah. Okay, no public comment, there's no public. No non-public session. The next meeting is Wednesday, April 24th at 4:30.
Move to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.